Welcome back to Heart Book Radio, where we dive deep, real deep, into the books you're pretending to read on your commute.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine, and for the record, that kebab was a culinary masterpiece. You just lack vision and possibly taste buds. Speaking of lacking taste, let's talk about today's literary experience.
We're tackling The Watermark by Sam Mills. A book so meta, it makes you question if we're just characters in some twisted radio drama, written by a sleep-deprived intern.
If that's the case, can someone please rewrite my dialogue? I'm pretty sure I deserve better than kebab enthusiast.
You're right. Gourmand of questionable late-night delicacies.
Moving on. The Watermark. It's like the literary equivalent of a turducken. You've got your Victorian melodrama stuffed inside a Russian tragedy, all wrapped up in a dystopian science fiction shell, and then, for good measure, they threw in some contemporary romance. Because why not?
It's a genre-bending bonanza, a literary buffet. It's like Mills went to a library, had a seizure, and woke up with this manuscript.
A seizure of genius. Or a seizure of, I have a deadline and a crippling caffeine addiction. The reviews are mixed.
Mixed is an understatement. It's like a Jackson Pollock painting of opinions. Some people are calling it absolutely original, wildly imaginative, a philosophical masterpiece. Others are saying it's repetitive, confusing, and the last 20% is absolutely excruciating.
So, basically, your average Tuesday night, high hopes, crushing disappointment.
Exactly. But let's talk about the premise. We've got Jamie, a struggling journalist, aren't they all, who gets kidnapped into a novel.
Kidnapped is a strong word. More like literarily seduced. He has a cup of drugged tea at a creepy cottage, because that's never a red flag, and wakes up inside the new novel of reclusive author Augustus Fate.
Augustus Fate, subtle, Sam Mills. Real subtle. It's like naming your villain, Dr. Evil McGay.
And this Fate character is basically a literary puppet master, pulling the strings of Jamie and Rachel, our artist protagonist. The question is, are they just puppets? Or can they break free from the narrative?
It's fate versus free will. Old question, except instead of pondering it in a philosophy class, you're pondering it while trapped in a Victorian-era bodice ripper.
Or a Russian tragedy. Apparently, the Russian section is a highlight, which, knowing Russian literature, means it's probably filled with existential dread vodka and someone dying of consumption.
And then there's the dystopian science fiction bit. Because, again, why not? It's like Mills is playing genre bingo. Oh, I need a bleak, futuristic setting. And a love triangle. And a talking samovar.
I'm holding out for the talking samovar. That's where I draw the line.
But here's the kicker. Some of the characters want to stay in the fictional world to avoid COVID.
Honestly, relatable, I'd take a fictional plague over another Zoom meeting any day.
Right. And apparently there's a scene with a 13-year-old boy kissing a 23-year-old person.
Oof, that's a choice. A bold, potentially problematic choice.
They're calling it The Watermark. When metafiction gets messy.
And the reviews. Oh, the reviews. One person said, it's like The Matrix set in a slush pile.
Another one. Inception meets a Rolls. Reversed misery. Which, now that I think about it, is terrifyingly accurate.
And my personal favorite, I understood then how much fun the God of the Old Testament must have had, tormenting nations with surreal weather, thunderbolting tragedies at job.
This book took 10 years to write. 10 years. I've had relationships that lasted less time.
And produced fewer existential crises, I hope.
Debatable, but the real question is it worth reading? Is The Watermark a stroke of genius or a literary train wreck?
It's both. It's a beautiful, ambitious, frustrating, confusing, occasionally brilliant, often infuriating train wreck. It's the kind of book you'll either love, hate, or throw across the room in a fit of rage.
So, perfect for book club then.
Absolutely. Just make sure you have plenty of wine and maybe a therapist on speed dial.
And if you do decide to read it, let us know what you think. Are you Team Fate? Team Free Will? Team Talking Samovar?
And most importantly, did you make it through the last 20% without losing your sanity?
That's all. We're here for all of it. That's all the time we have for today on Heartbook Radio. Join us next week when we'll be discussing 50 Shades of Beige, the joys of minimalist decorating.
Kill me now, or better yet, trap me in a novel, preferably one with a well-stocked bar.